Now, today there was a totally new spin given to Adani's US indictment. Now, what happened early morning? You had lawyers like Mukul Rohatgi and Mahesh Jethmalani who defended Gautam Adani, Sagar Adani over US bribery charges. Now, what has Mahesh Jethmalani said? He said that the timing of this whole indictment report is very suspicious and there is sketchy evidence. It's a hatchet job. So these are the things which basically he has said. And he's also said that there is no actual evidence of the bribery they are speaking about. Similarly, Mukul Rohatgi also has defended Gautam Adani, saying that there were 5 charges on which this indictment report came out, and count 1 and count 5 are more important than others. But in both these cases, there is count 1 and count 5. The names of the Adanis is not there. That is Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani, and also one of his executives, Vineet Jain. So those names don't appear. And count 1, he spoke about that it charges Gautam Adani of conspiracy and to violate the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Now, over this development, after Mahesh Jethmalani and Mukul Rohatgi held the press conference, the opposition was all guns blazing. And Jairam Ramesh said that Modani ecosystem is trying to dilute the seriousness of the bribery charges. Whereas if you look at Mahua Moitra, she has targeted Gautam Adani, saying that the top lawyers have been sent to hike up the stock prices and also dupe the investors. So we'll try and understand as to what this presser by Mukul Rohatgi and Mahesh Jethmalani meant, and does it absolve Gautam Adani of all the charges which have been leveled and framed by the US indictment report? Joining me now is Supreme Court lawyer Sanjay Hegde this evening with us. So thank you so much for joining. And the first question, that this joint press conference by Mukul Rohatgi and Mahesh Jethmalani, and Mukul Rohatgi very categorically said that it's in his personal capacity that he is addressing the media. Now, what does that really mean?
Well, you'll have to ask them what it means. No lawyers, however eminent they are, can absolve anyone. That is a job for the courts to do. The US courts have issued summons. There are civil proceedings, there are criminal proceedings. Just because lawyers may say that no, there really isn't any case to answer, that is not something on which I would take an informed stock decision. The point is that the story is yet to play out. Mr. Adani may have shown the case to some lawyers. They may have a particular opinion about it, that there really is no case to answer. But nevertheless, you still have to answer. For instance, in the media space itself, there were all these charges against somebody as respected as Dr. Pranay Roy. And irrespective of what his lawyers said, it took nearly 7 or 8 years before the CBI and the ED closed their investigations. Coincidentally, in the meanwhile, the company got sold to Mr. Adani, but that's a different story. The thing is, in the US, prosecutions under the Foreign Corporations Act take their own time. There are indictments. Those indictments have been seen by a grand jury, and the charges have now been unsealed. What course happens in the US, time will tell. It reminded me of a nice little Marwadi proverb, which says, "Jahan ki tirat wahi ka panda." That if you go on a pilgrimage somewhere, take the local priest. Pandas this side of the Atlantic may not exactly get everything right as to what rites are to be performed across near the Potomac.
But Mr. Hegde, you're right that, it's the courts which have to decide whether, the charges which have been leveled against Gautam Adani and the Adani Green Energy Limited. But the point is that very idea why Mukul Rohatgi and Mahesh Jethmalani were sent today to hold the press conference, why they spoke. There are all sorts of speculations over it. Now, Mahua Moitra says, and then I looked at the stock prices also. There was a slight jump in the stock prices of Adani today. They were in greens. And this was immediately after the presser. And that is why Mahua Moitra wrote that this joint presser was held by the legal luminaries to hike up the stock prices and also dupe the investors. Now, what would you say to a charge which has been leveled by Mahua Moitra? Do you see any connection or link?
Well, Ms. Moitra is entitled to her opinion, and she does know a lot of lawyers. But as a lawyer, what it does appear to me is that this press conference has also come in at the same point of time that the Adani Group has officially informed the SEBI about the
Yes.
pendency of proceedings in the US. So the SEBI also has to take a call on whether there was price sensitive information which had been concealed from it and all that. So it may well be that this is part of a grand legal plan, first to officially write to SEBI and also to announce all these things or this opinion in a press conference. I still hold that irrespective of how eminent the counsel, that has no determinative value in law. It may persuade people. An opinion of a counsel may say that, oh, this is something which this group may get by in due course of time. But whether it would be actionable economic intelligence, I would certainly hold my horses.
But what Congress was saying, and there was a huge hangama in the House, they had moved in an adjournment notice. The Houses got adjourned. Both houses of Parliament got adjourned. But do you think that this presser has, in a way, or maybe the Adani Group is trying to dilute the bribery charges, and can it be done so?
Well, that is a matter of public perception. You see, molding perceptions is part of corporate communications. Whenever a brand suffers, there is what is called a celebrity endorsement, which is one of the strategies. So if you have celebrity lawyers saying, no, there's nothing in the case, and if you have a market which accepts it, well, that is good corporate communication strategy. Of course, there will be many who do not buy it at all. There will be many who will say, okay, let's hear everybody out and let us take our own independent decisions.
What is Mr. Sanjay Hegde's opinion on the press conference, which was conducted by Mahesh Jethmalani and Mukul Rohatgi? You're also a lawyer, and how would you really see this development? Is it the part of the grand legal plan, as what you say, or is it like a brand endorsement that Adani brand is suffering from an image crisis, and that's why they've brought in and parachuted these big lawyers who are going to speak for them?
Well, it's a mixture of both things. And then there are people like me, for instance, we draw our own lines in the profession ethically. Now, you've often heard me tell you whenever you've reached out for an interview that, look, I'm engaged in this matter. I'm going to argue it on one side or the other. And therefore, I will not be speaking to the media on it, except in those rare occasions when you just want to explain what happened, just the factual part of it. So you refrain from opinions. The American school of advocacy is not like that. You see lawyers, as they go into court, they get interviewed, they sort of lay out what they plan to do in court and all that. So now we, in this globalizing world, and particularly since the charges have emanated in America, maybe Indian lawyers thought that it was better to follow the American model than the British model of reticence. So they have come out. We are not yet sure that they are entirely retained by the Adanis for any of the defenses in this matter, or whether they are giving an informed opinion out of the goodness of their own hearts. Time will tell.
Mr. Hegde, I was speaking to someone this afternoon and they raised a pertinent question. And I thought of asking you this question because that gentleman said that, the SEBI should be investigating how the stock prices, tanked up today and they got spiked up. And immediately after the presser, the markets were in greens. Adani stocks did better. So they must investigate this matter. Do you see any correlation today? And should the matter be, investigated by the SEBI, though they haven't done any investigation on Adani so far? But what about today's dealings, in the stocks?
I would be very surprised if SEBI investigated. And if SEBI investigated it, this would be the least of the sins that the Adani Group can be charged with. Yes, somebody who who wanted to take a calculated bet that this kind of statement from eminent lawyers would have impact on prices may have benefited. But I sincerely doubt that anybody who had knowledge that a press conference was going to be held went ahead of the press conference, which was at 9 o'clock, went to the market early in the morning and bought shares in anticipation. If the SEBI has to investigate the various compliances of the Adani Group, this is the least of the things that can be alleged against them. What really must be seen is, look, there were raids in the US. You knew that the investigation was pending. Why did you not inform the exchanges? Are you not under an obligation in terms of the listing agreement, in terms of the regulations, to disclose all such price-sensitive information? See, you take a look at the pharma companies. The pharma companies often get into problems with the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, abroad. And if the FDA conducts a raid on any of the facilities and finds something, that kind of information is immediately put out in the market. It is informed to the exchanges, and the exchanges put it out in the public sphere. None of that happened here till this indictment was unsealed. And as a matter of fact, the official communication seems to have gone only today.
But if you look at
So
the 54
SEBI
page,
certainly has lots to investigate, but it is sitting on its hand.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.